take her one shift at a time here. Don't need to be pretty out there. Keep it simple.
Usually about this time, Strud gets told if he's playing forward or defense.
Right. This is about it. That'd be actually too much warning. It's my first shift.
First kick in the ass. And now another edition of Straight Off the Pipe podcast. Sunday night. Hit it, guys. Hey, game on. Grab the net, sticks in the middle. It's another episode of Straight Off the Pipe. We got episode 23. Tonight's a big one. We've got some special guests. As usual, I'm your co-host, Dash, or Dash in the Park. And in the cell beside me, we got Mike Durst. How's it going tonight, Durst?
Pretty good. Excited to have Connor Halley and Jason Strudwick here. Last time I saw Struds, he was signing autographs for kids at the Ernie's in Grand Prairie. And, really personable, asking detailed questions of all these kids. And then they moved on to Dean McCammon, who had to keep up with George LaRock on fight stories. That was a lot of fun. And thank you guys for doing that. It was great.
Right on. Also pumped to have these two guys on. Connor Halley, TSN 1260, producer for the Jason Gregor Show, co-host of the Don Wheaton on White Oilers pregame show, host of the Other Connor podcast. Great to have you, Con. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good, guys. Appreciate the invite. Happy to be here.
Nope. Absolutely. Our pleasure for sure. Love the Jays hat. I can see just a corner of some NFL going on behind you there. So feel free to take your peeks if you need. I'm sure we got some dollars on the game.
They made a couple bad touchdown bets on this one, and just hoping I can get a garbage one late here. But not looking too good for me.
All right. Well, I'll be thinking of a garbage touchdown in the back. And
if I celebrate, you'll know why.
There you go. Yeah. Yell at your leisure. We're all good here. And last but not least, Jason Strudwick. We've got career warrior, 674 career games, two-time WHL champion, two-time Memorial Cup champion, Battle of the Blades finalist, NHL's most efficient shootout shooter of all time, degree in pre-med, currently the co-host of the Jason Gregor Show. What else do you do, man?
Well, I know what I've done. I went swimming today. I didn't know this was going to be online. I thought it was just an audio thing. So I didn't put any of my gel in my hair. I looked like my Uncle Bob from Calgary. The worst hair, like old man hair.
Best you've ever looked.
Yeah, my Uncle Bob, he's a good-looking guy, but bad hair. So I'm like, oh my God, I look just like that guy. So I guess it does run the family.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, I guess, eh?
Really not. It doesn't. Jeez.
Thanks for taking your time to come on, man. I really appreciate you guys being here. Struddy, first off, you've had a fantastic career. Doesn't matter, what's accomplished and what isn't. You made it to the NHL, and that's an accomplishment. Not many people get to do that. You lived out a lot of kids' dreams, and that's fantastic. But you did it in Edmonton, and we're an Edmonton-based show, and we like to kind of be a little bit Edmonton-centric. And you grew up in this city and played with some of the best that ever played this game, man. Like the Niedermeyers and Iginla, and I don't know, were you out there with Dingman and some of those guys as well? What are like some of your fondest memories, or maybe your best stories from growing up with those guys?
Yeah, you know what? I grew up. I just played hockey because I loved it. I loved competing. I never had aspirations of playing the NHL. My cousins are the Niedermeyers, and they are, arguably a little bit better than I was at hockey. But it was they. So I just thought, these guys are amazing. Everyone talked about how great they were, Robbie and Scotty. No one ever said, "Oh my God, Jason Strudwick's so good." No one ever said that. And then I was lucky kind of to see them. Even though I lived in a different province, we'd see each other quite a bit, and I would kind of just copy what they were doing. Obviously not as well, but I would try. And then then I kind of got lucky and found the right place for junior. And I was pretty hard worker, so I think that has something to do with it. But everything that's good that happened to me has happened through hockey. I've seen a lot of places. Meeting my wife. Getting involved now in the media, like everything I love is all because of hockey. So I just love the sport. I don't like to play it much anymore. I was bad. I wasn't a great NHLer. Now I'm even worse. So I don't play anymore. I just coach. I'm great coaching because, you never have a bad shift. You can always blame the kids for not playing well.
I do love listening to your coaching advice when you spit it out there. There's no doubt about that, especially with my little one coming up.
Yeah.
Connor, what's it like keeping track of these two on the air when you're producing the show? You got these two Jasons running wild. You got straight and proper Gregor and doing things all pro wise. And then I don't know, Struddy's chasing his tail sometimes, but entertaining is all hell. I don't know. I love it. You guys have an awesome chemistry. What's it like, Connor?
It's a lot of fun. I worked with Struddy in the past, actually. We used to work on the night show together. So Struddy and I, we go way back when it comes to radio, and then made the jump to the Gregor show. And it's a lot of fun. Obviously those two have a lot of great chemistry, and, working with them is a lot of fun. I'm sure people are going to find out right away. I mean, Struddy's one of the funniest guys out there. He always makes it interesting. You can go into work, have a tough day, and you hang out with those guys for 4 hours and you'll leave smiling. So always a lot of fun combining the sports and I guess lifestyle, Struddy. Like, is that what we call it? Sports and lifestyle radio now? Because sometimes we drift apart a little bit, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. And always glad to go into work with these guys.
That's fantastic. What do you say, Durs? You met Struddy. I know that's pretty cool, and got an autograph one day.
It was more for my son Max, but yeah.
I was gonna let you tell the story.
It's funny. I don't see any Strudwick paraphernalia behind you there. I guess, did you have to move it? Was it the dry cleaners, or what happened, boys? Hey.
It just had kind of like my NHL career. It just hasn't arrived yet. So I got a question for both of you. Other than Struddy's, marvelous shootout goal, have either one of you seen a goal as ridiculous as what we saw, Connor pull off against the Rangers to tie that hockey game?
Go ahead, Connor.
No, I haven't. It's funny. I was telling a couple of buddies, we were watching football today, and we're like, when I used to do the post-game shows with Dean Millard, there was obviously a long stretch where the Oilers were still kind of getting out of the decade of darkness. And the one thing you could count on was Connor McDavid doing something to kind of one-up it every game. Like, oh, God, I've never seen that before. And, he did it again. And, last year there was this, the Morgan Riley goal where he, put his jock up in the stands. And then this year it was like one thing, like he just kind of put the team on his shoulders there. Like, we need a goal. I know it's 1-on-4, but I'm going to go for it. I have that capability. And right before he went backhand, one of the Rangers even got their stick on the puck a little bit, but you couldn't even tell because he was just so quick to get the puck back on his stick.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me, that's goal of the year. I saw some Flames fans last night on Twitter talking about how Tkachuk might rival it. No, that was the goal of the year. Going 1-on-4. Nobody tries that except for Connor McDavid. So no, yeah, for me, that's goal of the year. That's I don't know how you beat that one.
I'm with you there.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, comparing to Chuck's goal to McDavid's like us comparing our Capital X games to the Stampede. Like, it's not even close. Like, it doesn't even make sense. We'll give it a Stampede, but let's be honest, that goal was crazy last night. I think what blows me away is that just the idea, like, there's not a coach I've ever met would say, you know what, when you get a chance, take 4 guys on. Like, it doesn't even make sense. And he's like, I'm supposed to score big goals. I'm like,
right?
No, not like, no one's supposed to score like that. And my favorite part is his reaction. It's rare to see Connor McDavid get excited.
Yeah.
And his reaction, like, I was at the game and I was excited. I remember I was high-fiving guys. I'm like, what the hell's going on? But it was just like such an amazing goal. I've never seen a goal like that. I've never seen a better goal. I don't think I'll ever see a better goal than that, unless it's done by him. No one else is capable. Right. Beating 1 guy, 2 guys, maybe 3, but 4, like, on a repeat.
5, including the goalie.
Yeah, counting. Well, the goalie, I don't know. He just, poor guy. Unfortunately, those 5 guys are going to be on like every video from now. Morgan Riley's happy. Think about how many times we've seen Ray Bourque get beat by Marilyn Lemieux. That's not going to be seen anymore.
Yeah, I think I saw a tweet out there. Nobody's happier to see that play than Morgan Riley and Jack Johnson.
Yeah.
And it was cool though, because like it gained so much popularity, and now with obviously ESPN and TNT showing games, like they were pumping it on their social medias. I was seeing it on their Instagrams, and then Connor McDavid just being who he is and how humble he is, talking about how that's what I'm paid to do. And Rex Chapman, who's huge on Twitter, was tweeting it out like, oh, look how humble this kid is. Like, it's just good for the sport, and it's just going to grow the Connor McDavid name and brand across North America and globally from, those types of things. That's what's cool about it to me. It's not like, this guy playing in Canada. Like, everyone's going to start to know Connor McDavid because of plays like that, things that the hockey world has known forever. I think it's going to creep into more of the sporting world just in general.
From a defenseman's point of view, Struddy, what do you do there?
Oh, change.
I mean, he got slashed 4 times. They did their best.
Yeah. Get off the ice.
Yes, get off the ice.
Just get off.
And I saw it in real time and I watched it. And I think, like, honestly, they gapped up pretty well. I guess I saw people say, well, they got to play more of the middle. Yeah, you can play more of the middle. Guess what? He's going to take you wide. Like, it's honestly, you get back to the bench, you're like, sorry, guy. Like, what are you going to say? Could the forwards maybe got a better stick in there? Yes. But the D were pretty far up. Like, you can pick it apart, and there's always a hero out there that would have played it differently. I'm not that guy. I would have played it worse. It's Connor McDavid in an amazing moment, and those guys are going to have their moments. If you get beat like that by, a guy like Devin Shore, well, then maybe we better have a talk. But for Connor, doesn't matter. It's Connor McDavid.
On the flip side of that, the play where Zibanejad's coming down on the right side there and takes that wrist shot. Would you like to see Nurse play that differently?
Well, yeah, I mean, but he was pretty far out, if I remember. Wasn't he at least at the dot line? I'd have to look at it again. I thought he was pretty far out. Then if I remember, didn't he go far side?
Yes.
Yeah. So
from just inside the circle.
Yeah. Like I mean, as a D-man, my general rule is if you get the guy to shoot outside the dot line, I've done my job, so it's someone else's job. So
right.
Pretty good shot. Like, let's be honest. But that's when you'd like to have a save. You'd like to have a save there as a D-man. And I think I'm sure Mikko would like to make the save. The team battles back, and then that's what scores on it. But a good shot. But yeah, I guess he can maybe stepped up. I'd have to watch it again. But what I remember is that he was pretty far out. So once it gets out the dot line or close to the dot line.
Yeah, they showed a replay that Zibanejad clocked 40 kilometers an hour at his peak speed there, and I think he shot the puck 122 kilometers an hour or something. So, that's tough to close a gap on a guy that's going 40 kilometers an hour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Darnell's a strong skater too. And it's funny though, like, you're watching that game, and there's like Zibanejad, Panarin are amazing players, but it feels like they're not even close to Leon and Connor. And that's probably sounds a bit like a homer. I know someone's like, oh, you're such a homer, but like, honestly, like, strip the jerseys off their back and watch them play, and then let's see what happens, right? So, it's amazing. Like, those kids, Panarin's I don't know if he's a superstar, but he's definitely a star. And then we'll see him compared to Connor. It's just like, it's just
nobody on the Rangers has the capability of getting 160 points. Let's be honest. Those two are in their own hemisphere. Yeah. Like, Connor went nuclear there, you guys.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun to watch these games now, isn't it? Like, they're never really out of it.
Yeah, it's funny though. Like, I'll be the negative guy. I know everyone's feeling good on Sunday, and you guys are having your yellow jackets. But I think what we need to see is that it is a dangerous and I don't know if misleading, but they are never out of it. But you want to see maybe having stronger starts and kind of play full games. I know it's early. I don't want to. Oh, you're such an idiot, Strudwick. Well, no, like, it's just you want to see constant improvement, right? So you kind of take games over. So they got Detroit coming up. So Detroit. Like, they're not very good power play, not very good specialty teams. They're a pretty young team, and they've got some good things going. I think they beat the Golden Vegas actually got it last tonight. But you want to, like, I just want to see that more complete game. Well, there's 70 games, so let's not get too dramatic. But you can't just count on the power play and then special moments from Connor Leon, because we've seen the playoffs. Those moments are harder to come by. So if I'm sure Dave Tip behind the scenes is kind of saying, guys, like, we got to keep on. Finding ways to win that isn't specialty team driven. And that's great to do it. But in the playoffs, it's, we've seen it already. It's kind of hard to count on them.
Yeah, I think that's really well said, and I think you don't fluke into a 9-1 start, but in some respects to back you up, Struddy, there's been some luck involved a little bit, right? I think, we played 5 non-playoff teams, then we get 3 backup goalies. back to backs with Calgary. And so, I think we've accomplished what we should have accomplished with the opportunity that we've had in front of us, really, and good execution on their part. I don't expect them to win 9 out of every 10 games for the rest of the year. Where do you guys see, we're set up to make the playoffs. I don't want to be too much of a homer and start predicting that either, but with this kind of start, you go 500 to the end and you make it. What's the restrictions for us making a deep run? Connor, what do you think? The execution on their part. I don't expect them to win 9 out of every 10 games for the rest of the year. Where do you guys echo?
Are you speechless, Connor?
Oh, my computer froze a little bit there. Sorry, guys.
Connor always says that at work when he's not paying attention. When he's on Instagram, that's what he says.
He didn't cheer, so he didn't get the touchdown he needed. But
I mean, I wish I did. I don't think anything's happening in the game, but I didn't hear anything you guys said there. I can blame Ashley. I think she might be watching Netflix or something, killing our internet.
There you go. Too many devices going. No, I had just said, I think we're poised to make the playoffs without being too much of a homer. We're all thinking probably that it's a success to get past the first round, second round, perhaps. What's any restrictions that you see, Connor, in us being able to make a deep run this year?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think 100% this is a playoff team, and I don't think it'd be a homer for saying that at all. They've proven that they're going to beat the teams that they should. I think those answers that what might prevent them from going further in the playoffs will kind of rear their heads later on in the season. I think in November there's a back-to-back with Winnipeg. I think that's going to be a big measuring stick. You got a game against Boston. So those are the games I'm going to watch out for and see, where do the maybe the weaknesses in this team lie and where they need to kind of correct. I think the second pairing defense against a deeper team will be challenged. I think that's somewhere to watch out for. Mike Smith, I think there's always the question there, with his consistency in the past, when he's on, he's very good, but he can have lapses in his game. So, if that rears its ugly head, then maybe that's a thing. I do think in the last couple of years, though, he's kind of eliminated that. We've seen him be more consistent. So for me, the questions would be defensively, maybe outside of the top pairing, and then your goaltending. And I hope they continue to prove me wrong, because I think I've said that since Mike Smith and Mikko Koskinen have been the duo between the pipes. I'm going to have questions until they do it, but that would probably be the questions for me. I think the Oilers offensively have shown what they can do. That's not going to just disappear. Ken Holland went out there and added to his bottom six, which I think looks better. I know we're all thinking maybe Dylan Holloway, when he gets back from the injury, maybe he's someone who makes a push to get into the lineup as well. So for me, that's the only thing that I think would prevent them. And, probably why people think at the deadline, if the Oilers are in a position to add a goalie, maybe that happens. But that would be my only questions, just like it has been the last couple of years, defensively and between the pipes.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that too much. What about you, Struds?
Yeah, I think it was all, something that people keep an eye on. And I'd say the fourth line. I think that, let's just put the politics of Josh Archibald aside. They miss him.
Yeah.
The guy brings energy. He skates. He's physical. He's a great fourth liner. So without him there, they're trying to find chemistry. Is it Benton? Is it Perlini? Is it Cal Turris? Is it Shore? Is it whomever? I can name all these guys off, and they'll keep trying to rotate it. And so are they able to? Like Dylan Holloway is a great example. Can someone else come up and push into that spot? They have to trade for a centerman. I really think you need 4 lines deep in the playoffs. You might not use all 4 every night, but there's going to be injuries. We know that you can lose guys, so quickly. And so you want to have guys that can move up the lineup. So, the Josh Archibald situation is a touchy one, and a difficult one, because they could sure use him, and he's not there.
Yeah.
So
do you think Derek Ryan's better suited as a third line center or a fourth line center? Given what you just said, right? I think if you've got that guy playing fourth line and you have a Holloway that can step, or a McLeod that can step into the third line spot and still bring production, what do you think?
I think that a rookie third line center would be difficult in the playoffs. I think that's a tough. And listen, I like both those players, and this is an indictment of them. But look at what Eric Stahl did last year for Montreal. He came in, and I think he was a fourth line center. But the points made, you need to have a little bit of experience. Look at the Islanders. They brought in Char and Parise. They brought in these old guys, crusty old critters. So, you hope, and you're going to, I'll tell you what, if the Oilers go on a deep playoff run, McLeod and Holloway will play a role in it, right? But the more center depth you can have, I think, and same with the back end, like you're probably gonna have to add another D-man, so your laundry list gets a little bit longer because you're not just hoping to get a round or two, but you're gonna have to go 2, 3, God willing, 4 rounds deep, and we all want to see that. So you got to really plan for that depth. Yeah,
I'd like to hear your answer on that too, Durs.
Well, I think I read today that Devon Shore is going to be out 4 to 6 weeks with a lower body injury. And today at practice, there was a little tinkering with the third and fourth lines, like Cassian skating on the second line there, and Yamamoto kind of bumped to the third line. So I think he's trying to find that right combination there to, be a little bit deeper again. I think that maybe as the season goes on and Dylan Holloway gets healthy and can play a couple games in the AHL and see what he can do there, that might be, a spot for him to kind of come up and see what he can do. But I kind of agree with Struds. I think it puts a lot of pressure on a young kid to play third line center, especially if it's Winnipeg again or something like that, a deep veteran team. Gets tough. I don't know. I've looked at CC and Keith, and I think they're a little bit better than what everybody expected. But I think they do fine once the play is like inside the blue line. It's just at the blue line. Sometimes Keith can get turnstiled a little bit there, like on the blue line with a little bit of shiftiness. But once the play is like on the walls and stuff like that, those guys are hard to play against. They're mean, they're nasty, they have good sticks, and they don't really mess around a lot trying to get pucks out and going the other way. So I don't mind.
Yeah, I thought Keith and Cece would go together about as well as that camo hat and your McFarland jersey, but they've actually surprised me fairly well. Been pleasantly surprised. I hope they can keep it up as per what Connor said versus the deeper competition, though. I think that they haven't been truly tested as a team versus a team that's got a really strong second and third line and, that they can be deployed against. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I agree on all points. I think you guys nailed it.
The only thing I'd say is they get to keep in mind the Oilers' second and third line are deeper too. So, I can tell you as a former D, when your forwards are, matching up equally or better than the line you're playing against, it makes it easier for you. When you're overmatched forward line, you're in your zone the whole time. So I think that does make a difference, right? So those top 3 lines are pretty good. They're pretty deep. And if they can figure that out, I think it improves your D because you're just on your zone as much.
Can you win a cup with 3 lines?
No, that's why I need the fourth. But at least it's a start. It's way better. Think about what you were talking about last year. How many players you needed last year? Yeah. Right. So, you get Dylan Holloway, you maybe trade for somebody else who pushes, that's 2 guys getting pushed down to the fourth line. All of a sudden you have a fourth line. That's the difference. And then maybe McLeod can come in and play spot duty or someone it doesn't take long. It's not that much you need,
Do you think this team, the way it's constructed right now, can wear a different, like another team down in the playoffs, with the additions of Hyman and Fogle, and Jesse Puljujärvi playing like a man now instead of a boy? Do you think they can start to wear teams down with the physicality they can bring?
Yeah. Look at Fogle, Hyman, Cassian, and Puljujärvi. That's 4 of your top 9. Guys are big and skate and physical. Then you throw in Leon and Connor. So that's 6 guys now out of your top 9. And that leaves Nuge, who does what he does. Yamamoto is there, then that other third line center. So do you find another third line center who can do something like that? Like it starts to come together, right? Then you can cobble together a fourth line that's got speed and some energy and maybe a penalty killer or 2. You might have something there, right? So I do think they can do it. But Hyman has been so key, and same with Fogle. Yeah. I think they both add what they don't have is speed and forecheckers. You need to have forecheckers. You can't always just score off the rush. Trust me.
It's been nice. It's been nice to see. I just go back to that series against the Winnipeg Jets, where it was like relentless. Like they'd come at you at waves with all their lines. And,
Yeah.
you know, there was almost like a player on every single line that was a threat to score and create an opportunity. And the Oilers didn't have that after the top line. And seeing it this year, like the first, 10 games, whatever, that third line for me, like 37 and 44 are just popping on the screen. They're noticeable. And I don't know, it's been a while since we've seen that from the Oilers' third line. So it's good to see. And those guys, like Struddy can say, I attest to, like they'll wear you down, right? Those guys are going to finish all their checks and make it tough to play against. I think Ken Holland deserves a lot of credit. A lot of people in the public might not have loved it, but going on getting Fogle for Ethan Bear, it's helped this team.
Yeah, I think it's been a win-win for both teams, really.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a good thing. You don't have to win every trade. You don't have to beat
why is that a bad
everybody
thing? That's right.
Yeah. I don't like that people think you have to just kill the other team. I don't understand why. It can be a win-win. Everyone can be happy.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you there. I've always said that too, Struddy. I completely agree. I can see maybe, I think it would take some luck in finding some chemistry. You know, if you could have, and this is a little bit pie in the sky, and I get that. But, if you could have Jesse drive his own line on the third line and have a little bit of a mix where maybe you drop a Fogle and somebody and Ryan down to the fourth line and, Yamo up to the top line, or, just able to try and create chemistry in the top nine to be able to have that real good fourth grinding line. I can see us maybe getting them, being able to pull off that same type of coming in waves that Connor's talking about. I remember watching, the Vegas Knights the first few years they went to the playoff finals there. Like they just come at you and come at you and come at you. And so, yeah, I hope that we can do that. It would take a little bit of a shuffle, I think, for sure.
So Bouchard was playing with Nurse for a few games there when Barry was struggling, and now kind of switched back again. Do you think that's more to do with trying to get Barry, playing at a higher level? Or is it kind of not trying to put too much pressure on Evan Bouchard?
What do you think, Connor?
Yeah. I mean, I think Dave Tippett's going to be doing some tinkering throughout the season, right? And I'm sure, like we will, this Hockey Man market, we're going to look into it and try to figure out why he's doing something. But I think that could be a reason for it. Getting him back up there, maybe trying to find out some of that magic that they had last year. I thought, it took a little while, but eventually Barry and Nurse looked very good together. Maybe just trying to get that going, trying to get Barry back on track, and maybe the point production he was at last year, get that confidence going again. But I should be deferring to Jason Strudwick, who, played in the NHL and played defense, knows a little more than I do.
Yeah, the only time I saw the first line is when they skated by, but I think that Ethan Bear, like it's never a straight line, and people, I get frustrated. Oh, he is now this, and he's now a top right defenseman. And I think he's going to be very good. Ethan Bear's played better. I think the last couple of games, I thought, not Ethan Bear, Tyson Barry's played better. I forget which game he really turned on, about 2 or 3 games ago. And Barry's playing well again. Why can't he take that spot? This is what is it called? Meritocracy, whatever you call it, where you earn your minutes. And it's not like Bouchard's going from 22 down to like 10. His minutes are still there. He's getting the penalty kill. He'll take those minutes. So I don't think it's a bad thing. You want to have these guys competing for that spot beside Darnell Nurse, or competing for that spot beside Leon or whoever, right? Or between Fogle and Cassian, or whatever the lines shake out. So I don't think it's a big deal. And he knows he's going to play. It's not like Bouchard's going to come out of the lineup. And he's, what is he, 21? Is he 21 now or 22, whatever he is? I don't think it's a big deal. So the better Barry plays is good for the Oilers, because that means Bouchard's trying to catch him. And so Bouchard will find another level, and then Barry will have to keep pushing, and it pushes everybody, right? So you don't really see it on the left side, right? You don't see as much of that. That third line left spot is just going to kind of be, whoever is kind of playing well. But those other guys, it's good. That's a positive, real positive thing.
Yeah, I think Barry's season's been a bit of a tale of two cities. The first 5 games were, he was getting his points still, but a bit of a defensive cluster schmuck. But I'd say probably even since game 6, Struds, he's probably had his improvements turned up and got rewarded for it with some more ice time. And I agree with you again there. I think, having some competition just drives everybody.
Yeah, and I'd like to see that even on the the right side with Kyler Yamamoto. Like if he can create some competition there and try to fight his way back into that top six, right? And then maybe Cassian's the same way, fighting for his spot also. Like it's just going to make the whole team better as a whole when you get those internal battles.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. It'd be cool to see Yamo on that top line. And, he's put a few in the net now in the last couple of games off the schneid, as they say. So, if he's always been a bit of a streaky player too. So I don't know, maybe now's the time to try him up there if they were ever gonna, but I don't know. Don't maybe wrong the ship that's been winning either. I get that,
change. See if he can work his way into the top six.
Yeah, exactly. Good question, Durs.
It's kind of a change of pace too to see a forward, with a slap shot again, like we're seeing with JP. Like that was almost like a lost art for a long time from everybody except for like Ovechkin and Draisaitl on the power play. Like
he Bobby Hulled that thing, man. His stick was pointing straight at the roof. Like I think they said 142 kilometers an hour. Like he laid into that.
You know what the problem is? There's no time. There's no space out there. Everyone's so quick, and D-men are all mobile. Like there's no, who's the least mobile defense in the NHL? And with all due respect, Chara probably, right? And he's also the biggest, so he covers the most space. So
I mean, I wouldn't say that to him, but you go ahead.
I did. I'll say Connor. Say Connor. Maybe say that. But
we can edit this.
So much space that's how he's effective, right? So when someone's coming down, you don't have time to wind it up and shoot it. So that the fact that he was able to get a little bit of space and take that shot, it's great. So, you want to see that guy score in different ways. I love that he's around the net scoring, but it's nice because the second goal the other night was kind of a rebound, missed it, and gets it again and shoots it. Most of his goals are going to be like that right now, but we see a slap shot like that, it's okay, he can score in multiple ways. And as a defender, when a guy can score more than one way, that's when you're a little bit worried. It was just a one-trick pony around the net. I just got to battle him. But when he can back out and shoot from distance, that's where you're okay, we got a problem there.
Yeah, that shot and that goal should get him space, right? I mean, if you watch the game tape, I mean, it can only benefit him, and I totally agree. Especially with Curry in the building, hey? What a thrill to pound a puck like that from that spot with Yari Curry watching you in the stands. What a kid, eh? The Bison King. Unreal. Nobody has more fun playing hockey than Jesse Playarvi. It's hard not to. His passion for the game is as addictive as Struddy's laugh. It just gets you going, man.
What's funny is I was talking to someone. I said, he could play on my son's 10-year-old team because he has the same emotion. He just loves it. He'd probably be the best player, arguably. But he's so funny. He's so much fun. He's always laughing. It's fun. I look at him. I think he could literally fit on my son's team and have the best time just with the guys. He's like, yeah, what's up, guys? Let's just go play, right? I love that about him. So
Struddy, what does that do though for being on the bench beside a guy like that when maybe things aren't going your way? I mean, can that attitude be infectious and just lighten the mood?
Yeah, it's a long season. So the Oilers, we talked about how they're just on fire, but there's going to be a time where things go sideways, right? And it might not be a 10-game slump like Arizona, but it might be 2-3 game slump and pressure's high. And even someone that can kind of let a little air out of the balloon when things get intense. And listen, I'm not in the room, but I don't think that Yessa's really a funny guy. I think he's just a fun guy to be around, right? So he does things that are funny and the way he acts and stuff. So you look at him God, this guy's having a good time. Maybe I should relax too. So I think it's great for the dressing room. You need different characters, and I think he fits right in with that group. And then you look at a guy like Mike Smith, who's kind of the older guy, intense, and competes. And then you got Connor. I don't think he smiles unless he beats 4 players on 1-on-4. Everyone's got their own thing. You need that. You look at every team's a championship. They always say, "Oh, this guy was such a personality. This guy's such a personality." You need that in a room because you can't all be the same. And I think that with Connor's a great point. I think he's really going to be maybe a nice offset to Connor Leon, who tend to be a little bit more on the Jonathan Toews spectrum, or end of the spectrum, I should say, of intensity.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, it's been cool to see Draisaitl, who had his criticism coming out of junior, and all of a sudden being one of the most unselfish players on the ice, giving up hat tricks to get Playarvi back in the scorebook and giving pucks to Yamo. I thought that was really cool to see. I was pumped about that type of move for him.
Mm-hmm.
Shows maturity, in my opinion. Switching gears a little bit, you guys, were you both at the game? I know, Struddy, you said you were at the Rangers game did you be able to make it too, or?
I was actually doing the post-game show for Hernan Salas. It was his girlfriend's birthday, so he took her out for dinner. So I did pre- and post-game shows. So, I was back at the building all night, and just a little bit different than being in the building for that amazing goal for Connor McDavid.
For sure. Well, that's what I wanted to ask, I guess, Struddy then is it felt like a playoff atmosphere a little bit. Was it like that in the building as well, or did it just come through on TV that way?
No, it did. It really did. And, I think you could feel the Oilers were coming, right, the whole time. At least that's what I felt.
My wife said it. They're going to win this game at 4-2.
Yeah, you should have your wife on the podcast then. Just get rid of us.
That's episode 24, Struddy.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, yeah. Okay, sounds good. I'll tune in. But yeah, no.
I'm sure. Well, now that you've made the big time.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's like, it's just that excitement, right? And they seem to be having, like, when you're playing well, it's just fun. Like, there's no stress. You're just playing out there, and you're able to weather the storms and stuff like that. And I think that's what I saw. Like, they were down 4-1. I was sitting with a couple of buddies. I'm like, I think they got this. And it's hard to believe you're thinking that, right? But they just seem to be believing themselves, and they always have Leon Connor. It makes life a little easier. But like let's not discount the Hymans and like Darnell Nurse and Nuge. Like that pass Nuge made to Puljujärvi, no one's talking about. That'll be the pass of the year. That was a purest sauce pass I've seen in a long time. Like from his blue line all the way cross zone right to Puljujärvi in stride. I mean, that was pure passing. So you might see those up in Grand Prairie sometimes, but I don't see it down in Division 7 very often.
Did you guys see the Tyson Berry quote today?
No. What did he say?
No.
I have it up here. So he says, Leon skated by one of those guys and said, hold on, it's coming. Then we went and banged in 3. So, like, even down 4-1, Leon's kind of got that swagger, like, it's coming. Hold on. Wait till we get a power play. And I think that's awesome to see from this team. Like, I think Leon's always kind of had that. Like, you see him, it looks like he likes to talk out there, but to kind of call your shot like that and then go do it, pretty impressive. And I imagine the intensity was pretty high on the ice there when you're talking like that.
I think that hit he threw was the turning point in the momentum for that game, to be honest. I'd be curious if he said that before or after he bombed that guy. I forget who he hit right now, but
yeah. Well, Struds, what do you think the potential of this group really is?
Oh man, that's a hard one. Everyone wants to know, like, it's always good in the regular season. What do you do in the playoffs?
Right.
And so what I would like to see, I want to see them have sustained solid play 5-on-5. I'm not worried about the power play with penalty kill. I don't think I have to be a genius here. As your wife, the stats really show they're good at the 5-on or the power play, especially the penalty kills. But the 5-on-5 is what I want to see. I want to see them have sustained ozone pressure, and not just Connor Leon's, like the other lines. Get in there and grind and cycle and get back over the pucks and knock it back down again. And we've seen that. But I want to see them do that, constantly, game in, game out. And obviously you can't do it for 60 minutes, but, just have that ability where you have those moments each game. Because once you get to the playoffs, a lot of the goals are going to look like that. You're not going to get the power play gets a little harder to score. 5-on-5, it gets harder to score. So if you're having a tough time right now, it's going to be even harder in the playoffs. So I want to see that type of play continue that. That's what I want to see, because I know you have to defend, but everyone gets a little bit better defending the playoffs. But you have to find a way to score. That's where the Zach Hyman comes in. That's where Fogle, Puljujärvi, if Dylan Holloway comes in, I think he's a guy that can do that. Do they add another guy, another centerman? Like now, all of a sudden he's starting to like, geez, this line's pretty deep, or this group's pretty deep. So that's what I want to see.
There's a couple of shifts there last game. I don't know. I think it was started by the third line with Cassian and Fogle, but they were cycling the puck for a good 60 seconds where it just kept going in the corners, and then they started changing out guys like one by one. They're going to the bench and changing, and they were still owning the cycle, basically shorthanded because they changed their entire line through that cycle. And I thought to myself that exact thing when that happened. I'm like, man, if we can, one of the most impressive things for me this year, surprising things, maybe better said, is how we're winning in different ways. Like, I thought that game against Vancouver, even though it was only 2-1, was maybe the Oilers' best game of the year.
100%.
And, you know, now we're winning come from behind games. We've won the outscore your mistakes games. You know, I think that, more than once. I think that's been one of the most surprising things for me. And good to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And like, I mean, a lot of people said like that Flyers game that they lost might have been one of their better games, right? And yeah, for me, I'm the same way. Like seeing them, they're not all going to be the exact same. You're not always going to go out there and score early and often. Sometimes you got to, you know, dig deep and find a way to do it. It's good to see them do it in a variety of different ways because it's just going to be like that throughout the rest of the season. There's going to be good games, there's going to be bad games. But to me, you know, encouraging that they can be down a goal or two and still know, like, hey, McDavid or Draisaitl, maybe we depend on you 5-on-5. But even if you're lower in the lineup and you don't think you might score a goal, you draw a penalty and you're doing a huge thing for your team, right? The momentum can change just like that. So, yeah, it's been encouraging so far. And, you know, going to be this month of November, I think there's a few more challenges, tougher teams that they're going to go up against. And I think you're going to learn a lot about this group and see if they can keep it going.
Yeah. Might be a little bit more maturity to these guys too. Like in years past, if they would have got down 4-1, they just kind of hang their heads and that's it. You know, now they keep in the fight. You know, I think there's a belief there, and I think they know they have a few more tools in the shed that, you know, to go to battle.
Well, in the past, they've played to other teams' levels too, you know, like played down.
Yeah. And they don't do it themselves. Like Leon and Connor don't do it themselves. Like there's other guys that can do it. Like, and, you know, like you look at Zach Hyman, if you add up all the goals he scored, would that total distance from the net be over 20 feet? Like right. He's going there. And there's going to be nights for the Oilers. And I look forward to the games. I know it's not as fun as Friday. Friday was fun. I look forward to seeing maybe this next stretch, they win 3 games 2-1. You know, like I want to see that. I want to see them battle through that. I want to see who's on the last minute. You know, when the night they gave up, it was Vancouver, and they gave up, and Connor, we talked about this, when they gave up that empty netter. Like they didn't play that very well, 6-on-5. The next time they came out of protected league, they played a lot better. So you have to go through those. So I want to see, you know, Oilers fans, you want to, I know everyone wants to see 6-5. I want to see some 2-1s, some 2-0, some 1-0s, like win tight games where it's really hard checking and no penalties, like no penalties where you like, unfortunately, it's almost a cheat for the Oilers. I think they're 50% of the power play. So let's go, like, you know, no power plays, just grind out a win. And I know people are screaming, well, Connor should get penalties. Yeah, you're right. But they got to learn to win without the power play. And I think that's, you know, when you talk about the lessons about how that works, that's what I want to see, because that develops a playoff mentality and winning ability deep in the playoffs, more so than just going, we're going to win it every night with a power play. And not that they have, but you have to learn how to win, in, as you said, in different ways, Dad.
Yeah.
But your wife probably told you that already, so.
Man, I can't tell you the amount of things that she is right about. We're going to be here for a while.
And I don't want to steal her ideas. I don't want to see a 2-1 game in Detroit, Struddy. I mean, I want to see a 5-1, like go out there and put a beat down on it.
6-0 like they did down south.
If it's the 2-1 game against Detroit, then maybe you got to bring us back on, or your wife has to explain what happened, because that might not be great.
Oh, I have asked her to be on the show, for the record. She told me absolutely not. Switching gears a little bit. Want to talk about Kevin Lowe at all? I don't know. Like that's pretty cool that he got to have the jersey retired finally. I think it's been a long time coming, in my personal opinion. Struddy, you got any personal stories or any run-ins with Kevin Lowe? I know I heard Rashad cut him for stitches. I don't know if you've got that personal with him, but
well, it could have been from his shot. That shoots coming. like
apparently it was.
Must have been off. Must have deflected off of somebody else's stick. No, the first time I met Kevin Lowe, I remember I was young. I think it was my first year in the NHL. And I had a friend who ran a bar here. And so he said, why don't you come by later in the night? And I was, I'd had a few drinks by this point. I walk in and he's like, hey, these are my friends. And it's like Mac T, Kevin Lowe, I think Charlie Huddy and Craig Simpson. I'm like, oh my God, amazing friends. I didn't know any of the guys. So we start playing pool, but I mean, I can barely see the pool cue. Like I'm so buckled. And, I never forgot Kevin said, because I'd played, he'd been skating with us when I was at the Blazers. So I guess I'd met him there, but I didn't really talk to him. He skated with us there. That's where he lived. And then I think I was 23 at this point. He's like, boy, you actually look like a man now. I'm like, thank you, Kevin Lowe. Thanks a lot. Like, I don't even know what that means, but thank you. Now I understand. Because when you're 18, you meet a guy, you're just a baby, right? And 5 years later, you work out, you look like a man. But that was the first time. But he is the nicest guy. He always comes up, how are you? How's your wife? How are the family? Like, never like, hey, look at me. And even through the whole ceremony, you could tell he's like, he doesn't like that. And I respect that. I mean, but his career is an amazing career. What he accomplished, unselfish and a warrior. Like I love them playing. Like I love Messier, Kevin Lowe, Paul, all those guys. Gretzky, obviously, but as a D man, I'm a little biased. Connor's probably different. He probably liked all the scores, but Kevin Lowe was a great guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Question for all three of you. Exactly. Question for all three of you: is Kevin Lowe the most important defenseman in Oilers history? Connor? Oh, Connor might have froze. Durs?
Oh man.
The most important defenseman in Oilers history. Not the best.
It's him and Paul Coffey, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll try not to be insulted that you include me in that. But I guess you know what? I think he probably is. He's very and listen, Paul Coffey is great, but Kevin Lowe is so steady, right? And just steady, and the longevity. I think if you're going to talk in those terms, he's so steady for so long. I think it makes a big deal. If Darnell Nurse plays all these games with the Oilers, maybe it's a different conversation. But that's like 7 years from now, and then hopefully a cup or two from now, right? That winning those Stanley Cups is a lot different. Like Jason Smith, another guy jump in my mind. Pretty good longevity. Chris Pronger was huge for that 1 year, but 1 year no Stanley Cup, it's not quite there. So you're probably right.
Yeah. Connor, did you hear the question?
I heard it. I don't know if I froze, but I could hear you guys talking. I unfortunately missed those guys. I didn't really get a chance. I started watching the Oilers in like 93, 94, like Bob Beers and Frederick Olofsson are the guys that come to mind for me when we talk about Oilers defensemen early on. But I mean, Paul Coffey would be the other one I would think of. But when you look at Kevin Lowe, like I feel like Mr. Oiler would be an appropriate name. Like, yeah, he went away for a little bit, but he came back, went on to be assistant coach, head coach, general manager, president of hockey ops. Like the guy bleeds the Oilers colors, blue and gold, copper, or blue and orange, copper and orange, whatever you want to say. Like he's just always been there for the team and, done whatever he can. And, he just wants to see them win once again. So, when you talk about the Oilers organization, he's got to be one of the first guys you mentioned because his fingerprints are all over it.
Yeah, good point on the post-career part too, because how many guys, I heard him on the Stauffer show interviewed, and he said, sorry that I listened to Chad, and he said that he I lost my train of thought because of the Ched part. Damn it! Somebody else jump in.
You're rolling.
Well, when Struddy brought up Jason Smith, I think that's a pretty good comparison to Kevin Lowe. I'd say Kevin Lowe was a little meaner than Gator, but kind of a similar style, really, like just, mean, nasty, aggressive.
That just makes me want to go back and watch. Like, I want to go watch Kevin Lowe highlights now because to me, like, Gator was a jerk out there. He was awesome. That was fun to watch. And it makes me want to go see the old Kevin Lowe.
I would say Kevin Lowe was as, maybe not as mean as Gator where he put his stick, but he was as vicious when he needed to. There's no doubt about it. I remember what I was going to say that Lowe had said that he'd had different job opportunities throughout the years and always turned them down because he just always wanted to be an Oiler and could never imagine being anything but an Oiler, even in his post career. So to your point, Connor, that's, I think, what he's accomplished outside of with skates on probably does answer that question as to whether he is the most important defenseman. So I like that. I guess we're going to be starting a wall of honor. My first vote will be for Jason Strudwick. I don't know what you guys think or who you think the gimmies are there. I know you guys talked a little bit about it on the show on Friday, but have you changed your mind since the three you picked, Struddy? Or where do you guys, if you're to pick your three, who do you think's getting honored first? Or go to 5 if you want, because Durst will probably give you a 10 every time I give him the top 3.
Connor, who did you say, Connor? You said
well, Ryan Smith to me was the no-brainer. I mean, second most games played, put up points, heart and soul guy for the team. He would be the first one I have in there. I also believe I had Dave Semenko as a guy. Wish he could be there for the honor, obviously, but I think he was a guy just beloved by fans a little bit before my time, but I know the legacy that he has. And then I think I had Doug Wade, actually. He was always one of my favorite players growing up, could score the goals, didn't mind dishing out an elbow if he had to. I always liked Doug Wade. So those would be my top 3 personally.
And those are all great too. I think Ryan Smith is pretty easy. And then I had Mac T and Craig Simpson. I think both of those guys were pretty important in their roles as well. And you look at both Craig and Simmer were a long time, with the organization and especially Mac T as a coach. So those are 2 guys. I mean, I think there's a lot of deserving people. I guess the criteria will set will be interesting, but Semenko, you're probably right. He might be my second. I think there's Wayne, there's Ness, Joey Moss, and Dave Semenko. I think those guys are they're beloved. Not that the other Hall of Famers aren't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those guys are beloved by our fans or by the fans.
Yeah. And define Oilers, agreed. Durst?
Yes. Smitty, I guess, would be probably number 1 for me. I'd take Charlie Huddy because I don't think he gets the recognition he probably deserves.
Good point.
5 cups.
And I mean, Hammer, I love Alex Hemsky, but I'd probably have to lean towards Doug Waite or Curtis Joseph would be right in the cusp there too.
Yeah, for me, it's Ryan Smith. I agree with Struddy on Mac T, and then I agree with Connor on Semenko. We all love our Oilers, and I think we could go on forever. There's an argument to whether you want to make this wall about it. And it's what Struddy said, with the criteria will be interesting, right? Because we've all had our chance to honor the 80s Oilers. There's a bunch of banners up in the ceiling, but there's Connor's generation that grew up watching from Bob Beers to Ales Hemsky and Doug Waite. And, is this wall to honor and be cherished by, that generation or is it always just going to be the old boys that we look to? So I can see it going a couple of different ways. I'd also like to see Caver up there at some point in time too.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's a lot that I would look at. I mean, Esa Tikkanen could be a guy who could do it. And we had a lot of people bring his name up. But yeah, Cave would be cool. From my Oilers, though, honestly, there wasn't too many, guys. I think Doug Waite and Ryan Smith, maybe Bill Guerin if you wanted to, if you're short on the list. Gator for sure. Yeah. Eric Brewer, I don't know, wasn't he an all-star for the Oilers? He wasn't maybe here long enough, but he won a gold medal
Played
for
in
Canada.
The Olympics.
Exactly. Was with the Salt Lake City team in 2002. So, I mean, it's fun for us. It's an awesome topic, especially in sports radio, because we could debate that for probably 4 hours with the people that would be chiming in and sharing their thoughts on it and kind of go case by case. But I think it's just an awesome idea because, it seems unanimous. Everyone thinks you got to draw the line somewhere when it comes to retired numbers. Having a wall of honor or whatever it might be, a room of honor, I think it's awesome. Something they can do every year to just honor those guys who were involved with the organization and, maybe didn't win cups or win MVPs, but played a huge role. I love it.
Yeah, I agree. I think long time coming too. It's going to be a long time before we can retire another jersey because someone went to the Hall of Fame, right? So, and this is a great way to help fill the gap. We're coming up on the end of it, boys, and I don't have much more to say or ask. I'll maybe give everybody some final words if you want. Maybe Durst?
Just got 2 more things I kind of want to know.
You got it, buddy.
Yeah. Areas of concern on this group that we have?
Concerns on the team?
Yeah.
I I think the third line center. That to me is something I'm always. I just want that spot to be filled with a guy that's a veteran, preferably a right-handed shot guy. Nothing against Derek Ryan. I just think that if Derek Ryan's your fourth line center, you got something going on, right? And so that to me is something. If you truly want to have three lines deep with a fourth good one, that I think is my biggest thing. Conrad?
I just look back at goaltending, and there'll still just be questions there for me. And I know I want to give Mikko Koskinen some credit for, the way he stepped in. And I think it's been admirable for sure.
Yeah.
To start the search with Mike Smith going down. But, unfortunately, I know Mike Smith doesn't like to talk about it, but as an older goalie, there's just going to be those questions. So goaltending will just always be something that's kind of in the back of my mind. If they were able to acquire somebody, then maybe it becomes less of an issue. But if I had to pick something so far, I think backup goaltending would probably be it. I don't want to be too critical of a 9-1 team.
Yeah.
And I guess the other thing I was thinking is, what do you guys think happens Tuesday night in Detroit?
Sam Gagner scores.
Nice.
Of course.
I think that'll happen.
Well said. Yeah.
Hopefully,
does anybody else need to get
go.
off the Schneid there, or is anybody from Edmonton? Because those guys usually score too. And then
I think that game comes down to specialty teams. I think the Oilers are going to run over that team. I look at their defense, the Kaiser, Mark Stahl, and these guys. A young defenseman, what's that? Maurice Sider or whatever. Like they're just not. They're kind of past their best age. I like Mark Stahl. I played with, or they're not quite there already. Like I think there'll be a lot of penalties taken back there, and I think it's going to be a power play, fiesta.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I still think Detroit's a cool place to play, right? Like, I think, you go look up, you see the banners and everything, maybe get a lamped up there, be ready to go a few days off, getting back on the road to the Eastern Conference, going out East. I'm with Struddy, though. I think that the Oilers can overpower them, put them in bad.
nice.
Well, thank you both for joining us tonight. And I think I'll shut us down by saying, keep your sticks on the ice and keep reaching for the stars. Go Oilers, go. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Anytime. Good night, everybody. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
See ya.
That was fun.
There we are.
Good times, boys.
Thanks, Struds.
Are you in the bathroom? Are you sitting on a toilet?